cat interviews at Uber, Confluent, Indeed, and many more companies. I've seen it all. After countless hours on the other side of the table, I know exactly what top companies are looking for, especially in LLD. In this course, I'll share the insider blueprints, what to focus on, especially key design patterns, how much multi-threading, very important, counter question, traps, and how to tackle them confidently. This course is structured, practical, and tailored on what companies are looking for right now. Let's get you interview ready right now. Hello. Hi guys, good morning. Welcome back to YouTube. Ki hal chal? I hope you guys are doing good. Let's continue ahead with our next LLD problem, which is car rental system. Again, I'm hoping that you guys must have rented some cars. Maybe now or later, you will rent some cars. But yeah, let's see. So I'll proceed in the flow of the video, which we have been following. If you don't know, which we have been following in all the previous problems as well. The same flow we'll follow. Firstly, I'll tell you exactly about a car rental system for the folks who don't know. Then we'll go ahead with the actual interview setting, that how exactly conversation can go. And again, usually how I mention, when I say usually, I mean, in the previous problem, we have been following the same format, same flow, same design principles, same usage of them, how to make class items, everything we follow the same pattern so far. If you have been following, you can literally watch this video in 1.5x. Although I already speak a bit fast, so it's usually good to follow in 2x. Sorry, 1x. Cool. Then we'll follow into setting. Then we'll see, basic entities and stuff, and then we'll go on to building the corresponding class diagrams. Before that, we'll just discuss a few design patterns which we can, which we can use. I'll tell what exactly other design pattern which we can use, because see, as a code it can be literally very big, so I can literally incorporate as many design patterns as I want. So again, we'll go on to discussing all the design patterns or all their corresponding codes, and then discussing the corresponding main function for it, corresponding code for it, different strategies for it, different design patterns for it. Then we'll go to the extensibility portion, where we'll be discussing that what extensibility other things which we can use, and for the design patterns, again, keeping it a bit more short and concise, so that unnecessarily we don't repeat exact same stuff which we have been doing for other problems. Cool. Let's start off with the problem, which is car rental system. Now, car rental system, so there are two things. One is car booking system, another is car rental system. So car booking system is, that Ola, Uber, and all that stuff, and your car rental system is like the different rental systems of cars. Again, there are many in-house, there are many externals, there are many for them. Now, car booking system we will see when we will be seeing similar to a movie booking system, where like here. So for movie booking or concert booking or any which whatsoever, all that we'll be seeing in the movie booking system. Here in the car rental system, it primarily has a task of managing vehicle inventory because they have their own cars. Again, now you might ask, Aaron, is it a car booking system or a vehicle booking system? Or sorry, vehicle rental system. See, we'll keep extensible, because you see that we can also rent bikes, right? Scooties, cars. So again, car is famous, but usually people rent up scooty and bike as well. So it's the reason we'll just have vehicle inventory. Then obviously we have to handle reservations, we have to process the payments, and also we have to track these rental operations. So primarily what happens in this case is that in this car rental system or a vehicle rental system, what happens is that we have multiple rental stores. Obviously you will have some stores where you will keep your vehicles. It can be cars, bikes, trucks, autos, scooties, anything. Then user will come up, he will search in his location around him, whatever week, in his location around him, whatever stores are available, he'll look for those stores and the vehicle inside them. He'll book them, he will pick up, and then he will, let's say, go around, and let's say if he want to drop, he can drop at some store. This is how usually it actually works, right? Again, with that in mind only, I'm just mentioning that we have multiple rental stores, as you can see. And again, obviously, there are different locations. We have different vehicles as well. Again, we can give category of vehicle as well, although every vehicle will be identified. Because again, why I'm giving categories, because I want my user. You will see that there's a drop down, right, in which you can choose between economy, luxury, SUV, sedan, and so on and so forth. So that is also, this is just kind of, enums as an option which we can give. Although the problem hasn't started even yet, but still I'm just explaining that how exactly car rental system could look like. Now, obviously, every vehicle will have registration number, model, make, year, condition, and also its corresponding rental price. And I will obviously track the vehicle availability, because if it's booked, I cannot show that to my users for them to book again. They will have a bad experience, right? Yes. Now, obviously, when we are talking about users, so user will be able to search vehicles based on location, date range, preferences. When I say preferences, I mean it can be vehicle preference, it can be region preference, it can be color preference, it can be many other things. I can give that functionality to sort by price, type, and features. I will create reservations. I will also let them modify it or cancel it, because that's the primary use case of reservations, right? And obviously, I will generate the bills and obviously process the payments as well. These are the operations which we can perform. Lastly, we again, usually these safety features are there, which is reservation conflicts. Now you might ask, are we also counting in the concurrent bookings or concurrent reservations? Not right now. We will count all of them when we will be going on to the movie booking system. Concurrent booking, concurrent people trying to book for the same, let's say, bike or same car, that we'll book up when we will book up, let's say, movie. Because again, we don't want to mix match and all that. Just unnecessarily don't make it complicated. And if you want, if the interviewer is looking for that concurrent logic, then obviously make sure that you go watch this video and apply the same logic in the RN system as well. Now, coming on back, we can also think of user authentication, authorization, all that stuff, uh, tracking the rental transactions, and let's say keeping the damage reports. Again, these are kind of edge cases, not necessarily required. Now let's come on. Again, I am hoping that you have an idea right now what an actual car rental system is. Now let's go on to the actual interview setting. Interviewer simply mentioned design a car rental system. You have to do that. So as I have been mentioning in all the previous videos as well, just enact the process. Inaction of the process is exactly what I was actually doing here. If you remember, I was doing this process, inaction of the process. So firstly, as a manager, reservation manager, or even a rental manager, I just made inventory. Then as a user, I try to enact with the system. So this entire process is in action. Just to put it down as a consolidated compiled way, we can just put down as points by saying that obviously I will have to manage multiple vehicles across different rental locations. I will let my users search, filter, or reserve the vehicles based on their preferences. Preferences, as in, as we told, like it can be car preference, it can be type preference, it can be color preference, it can be duration preference, it can be like many things. Next, I will obviously track my vehicle availability, right? I will obviously have to allow them give a billing, or you can say a ticket, or and also allowing them to process the payments. And also I should make sure that it handles multiple cities, multiple locations, and be scalable enough. Whenever I say scalable, scalable is in terms of code scalability. So, interviewer, like the candidate can ask some clarifying questions. Again, obviously, the interviewer was good with existing things, so clarifying questions can be asked to the interviewer. That is he asking for some specific type of vehicles, or is it only cars? Even if he says it's only cars, then it's good to actually maintain vehicles, and let's say keep a car as a concrete class extending vehicle. Obviously, we want to support multiple type of vehicles, and like just asking that how should the system handle reservation modification and cancellation if they want, and are they looking for some specific pricing strategies to implement, or maybe are they good with some hard-coded fixed strategy? Because again, this will let you know that what exactly the interview is focusing on. Although we'll cover the entire breadth-wise everything, but still it's not easy to actually build an entire code which is super extensible in a 45 minutes interview. So you will still see that in the code, whatever you will write, there are still some cases which you will feel like, no, yeah, this could have been more extensible. Yeah, this could have been more extensible. Like I could have had another interface and I could have plugged that interface in rather than putting a concrete class. Yes, there will be cases. But the entire catch is that what exactly the interviewer is looking for, and are you able to implement that? Firstly, If yes, then okay. Other things are secondary. Cool. So yeah, the interview mentioned that they want to support multiple vehicle types, and you should handle reservations, modifications, cancellations to the primary staff, and also please handle the payments, and we can generate the corresponding bills and the amount which is required. Okay, I'll just jot it down the same points, whatever I wrote above, and I should be good to proceed ahead. Whenever I proceed ahead, I can write down the main entities which I feel like there are there. So this is how usually we have been going about. We'll just write, let's say, main entities. Then we can write main design patterns which will be used. Although we'll discuss many, but we might be implementing only a couple of them. Then we can actually build class diagram. Whenever I say build, I mean for you in your case, you can just write the corresponding classes, and that should be more than good. And then we can try go ahead with actual implementation of these entities, these design patterns, and writing the a final main function as well. And then we can go ahead with if there is some extensibility which you can do if you have time. Usually you will never have time by this point in time. Again, usually by this point itself, you like half of this point, the time will actually get over. For the folks who have been giving LLD interviews, they would relate that it is exactly not easy, and that's the reason. Like that's the difference you will see in our videos. That you focus on that what exactly you can do and how you should proceed ahead. Cool. Let's go ahead and see. Firstly, some of the very basic entities which we could think of as we were referring vehicle. So obviously we'll have a vehicle. Now, right now, it will be a simple class, but we know that it will be abstract class. Although I have just put up vehicle and then some very basic attributes to it, but I know that in future I will make it as abstract class, and then I will actually have concrete classes or concrete vehicle classes as well. Again, right now we just wrote that. You can also just write down vehicle class and let's say just write down a couple of attributes to it. That's it, and you can proceed ahead. Coming on later is much more beneficial option. Now, just think of this, that a vehicle will be where? Will be obviously inside a store. So I will have a store in which I will be, when I say store, I mean a rental store, right? Just imagine that you have a ice cream. Ice cream is on a shop or a store. Same way, a vehicle in this case is on a location, a location or a store, you can say. So this, I will have my vehicle inside my store. You see that I'm building my story. With the story being built, we just wrote the points down. With the points written down, we are grabbing out the entities. What else? Obviously, when we say that, okay, we have a store, then we have this vehicle inside the store. This store will be at some location, right? What else? Obviously, I can also say that I will have a reservation which the person will make, right? Reservation which the person will make, and that reservation will be handled, let's say, by some reservation manager. Reservation manager. Reservation manager. So these, like this is something which we know that okay, we will have a vehicle, we will have a rental store, we will have a location, we will have a reservation which will be made. Reservation is for what vehicle, what user, what they are booking for what time. This is a reservation, and this will be handled by a reservation manager. And all this will be handled by, let's say, a rental system or rental, yeah, let's say rental system. All this will be handled by, let's say, a rental system. That rental system will manage the, let's say, inventory. Again, you could actually have, let's say, Aryan, who can manage my inventory and stuff. Yes, that can be managed here itself. So again, this is the entire idea. Now we just have to write it down as an entities. So now we'll just put up the rental store. Rental store will have the corresponding vehicles and will manage operations at that specific location of rental store. So rental store will have its own location and he will be managing his own vehicles. Is it the complete class? No, not right now. But it's just that it's an idea. Then I will obviously have a rental system, as I was mentioning, which primarily has to handle the entire stores. And again, we know that we have to create vehicles, so maybe we can use vehicle factory. Again, I will come on to it later on. But right now, you will just have a rental system which will be managing all your rental stores and corresponding operations to it. Coming on, again, you might say, where are the reservation manager, all that stuff. No worries, we'll come on to it. Again, if you want, you can put them right now here as well. Just put down reservation and reservation manager like this. and just put down the couple of attributes inside it. And then later on, you can go a bit deep dive as well, considering when you have discussed the entire idea. When I say idea involves your entities, idea involves your, where it is gone, yeah, idea involves your entities and your design patterns, whatever you want to use. So let's go on to the design patterns. So primarily we'll use factory to build our vehicles. Now this thing we have already discussed previously as well when we were discussing our parking lot system. It's kind of overkill to use factory for creating vehicles. Why? Because obviously you are technically not a manufacturing unit. You are just creating vehicles just to put up inside a parking lot, or in this case you are just kind of linking a user with a vehicle. That is kind of what you are doing. But still, you yourself are maintaining these vehicles, right? You are keeping these vehicles. These are your own children. When I say children, just imagine these are your own heartful, like close to your heart, all these vehicles, because these are your own products. So you can obviously use a factory, and obviously if the things becomes more hierarchical and more complex, you can use abstract factory as well. But people might say it's a overkill, but it's not a bad thing just to discuss this with an interviewer, and it's very small code as well, just integrated with the factory. Secondly, we will use Singleton for our rental system because we want that there should be a single point of control for the entire rental application. So that's the reason for the, as I mentioned, that this rental system will be the kind of main stuff for us. So we will be actually saying that make it Singleton. And again, this exactly same thing we have been doing. So this vehicle creation we were doing here, this Singleton we were doing, in all of the board games, in inventory manager as well. We just took Singleton. So you see that there's a lot of repetition, and that is exactly what I'm telling. That figure out the pattern, how and what we are using, and how we can leverage that. Next, we have strategy. Obviously, as I was also had been mentioning previously as well, for any payment you do, you can have cash, debit card, credit card, you can have its corresponding payment strategy as well. And this exact same thing we have been doing in the previous one. In inventory also, we had this payment strategy, parking lot also payment strategy. Again, wherever you want or incorporate any payment, you will have payment strategies. Considering the person will be paying us, right? So they will have to pay a price. So, because this price is not uniform, when I say uniform price include that you have simple product, let's say chips. They have their fixed price, 10 rupees, MRP. But these rental products, right? Let's say bike, car, their value change basis on the festival requirement, demand and supply. That is the reason they will have their different pricing strategy as well. So you can incorporate a strategy design pattern for pricing strategy as well. This is the portion which we will discuss in the extensibility, although you can tell right now to the interviewer as well, and whatever he wants, on the basis of that you can implement that maybe in future or maybe right now. Again, it's totally on what your interview is looking for you to implement. Now, as we have been already seeing previously, that enumerations, for reservation status, for different stuff, let's say your vehicle type, for reservation status, for vehicle status, all that we can use enums that keeps your states, a fixed set of states. For example, reservation status will help, okay, my pending state, confirmed state, in progress state, completed state, cancelled state. So states are fixed, keeping the system less prone to errors. That's the reason it's a good practice that if again, if and only if we can figure out some specific states in which we can keep our system onto, it's good. And again, if you want that RN, I will keep as a state design pattern. We had already discussed that it's kind of not a good problem to have or incorporate state design pattern per se, because there are just couple of states which from, let's say, not booking to pending to booking and, let's say, confirmed. So again, not much states to go through for it to be in a state design pattern, but still, if you want to use it, you can. Technically it's not that much fruitful. So let's start off with actual implementation. But before implementation, I always say that if the folks who are looking for a class diagram, although I highly recommend that never go for it, because if you remember that we build these entities, right? If you remember, we will build these entities. We had this rental system, we had this rental store, we had this location, we had this vehicles, we had this reservation, we had this reservation manager. Now, What else? Obviously, we incorporated payment system, right? Which will have its payment strategy. Then we have a factory. So factory for creating vehicles. So obviously you can see that I just have a couple of more things which I added in the entire diagram. I just added a payment strategy for incorporating payments. Now again, I can incorporate that payment strategy directly with rental system as well. Or again, if I want, I can incorporate that with my reservation as well. Again, it's kind of more of that how you want, like you want to link a payment with a reservation. Obviously maybe not, because pricing is linked to reservation. That might sound good, but payment, you would just want to link it directly to final payment which is being done, which should be done when, let's say, you will return the rental product, which will be, let's say, you can do it at rental system as well. So it's more of that how you think of it, and there will be no very hard and fast rule that okay, it should be kept here or it should be kept here. You can, like, again, no one will shout that much on you, oh, why you kept it here. If the person is doing that, probably he has a lot of time and he want to focus on that part, you can focus on that part itself, but usually people will not. Now, so you see that I just have incorporated a factory here, a payment system. Again, this is a payment system or a payment strategy. You might say, Aaron, where is pricing strategy? You can have pricing strategy as well. Let's say pricing strategy that will obviously come at the reservation level, because pricing will be when you are booking or when you're doing a reservation, and that reservation is handled by a reservation manager. Again, usually in terms of computer science, we say reservation controller as also a term. But yeah, you can, interpret like, or basically interchangeably use it. Let's say reservation handler or reservation manager or reservation controller, kind of same thing. Cool. Now, what else? Do we think of something else? Not really, because this rental system will be a singleton. I will have a payment strategy which I will incorporate, let's say, with the rental system. Again, if I want, I can do it with something else as well. I will have a factory which will incorporate different vehicles, and vehicles will have their own corresponding, concrete vehicle classes. And that's it. That's exactly your entire class diagram. You want to see the code? Sorry, you want to see the actual diagram? Let's see it. So this is how the actual diagram is. I have my vehicle factory, right? I have my vehicle factory. I have an abstract class vehicle and the concrete vehicles as well. As I mentioned, you can have different enums for your, simplicity and making the code much more cleaner. But yeah, we have a payment strategy, which we have different payment strategies. Again, I have not incorporated pricing strategy here, which I will do it later on. Obviously, payment, you can have a payment processor, which will process your payment. It can have its own logic based on your firm or business logic. Apart from it, we will have a user, we will have rental store, we will have a rental system which will be handling everything top to down. But also we discussed that we will have a reservation and a reservation manager. This is exactly what we were discussing, and this is exactly how we put it down here. So if you see that I did not focus on everything. No, I just break it down into chunks. My chunk says that okay, vehicle and vehicle factory here, pricing and pricing strategy, and payment processing. Sorry, my payment strategy and payment processing here. Then my other core entities, which was user, rental store. Again, vehicle has already come up, and my reservation manager, and my corresponding rental system. Cool. And that's it. That's it. That's how easy it is just to link up. Again, when I was actually here, very early in the corresponding stage of my career, I was very confused how people draw this much big diagram. Now you will see that it's not difficult if you just look at very, core stuff, and then just say, okay, if let's say I have a payment, okay, where I should put it. And again, it's not very hard and fast. And although I always say this is not very highly extensible code. I might write in the very end, okay, it's very extensible and very flexible. I still know at the back of my head, it will have some corrections, and it can have some corrections because it is the code which is built up for 45 minutes interview. Coming on, not wasting time, we'll have factory just for vehicle creation. I'll just do it very quickly because we did the same thing while we were actually at the parking lot as well. So obviously I will have a vehicle abstract class in which I will have, some of the corresponding attributes, basic details which I want. Here I have a basic base rental price. As I mentioned that technically pricing strategy should be there, inside my, let's say, reservation. But again, right now in this piece, we don't have pricing strategy in place. So we can just use the space rental price just to calculate the corresponding price of my vehicle, which I will be asking to lend. Again, as I always recommend, that don't write letters much in an interview. If you can use Lombok. If not allowed, then keep it for the end. If the person actually wants you to build the code, write the main function, write the output, in that case, maybe you can come back and write the corresponding getters and setters. Now, obviously, I will have concrete classes. Let's say economy vehicle, I will have luxury vehicle, I will have corresponding SUV vehicle, and so on and so forth. Now, obviously, I have written a calculate rental fee, in which this calculate a simple rental fee. As I mentioned, again, I know this is not a good practice. Technically, you should have gone ahead with a pricing strategy model. But with that said, we'll discuss that later on. Now, obviously, I will use factory to build up all the, create all the corresponding vehicles, whatever I want. Now, just to show that we can have enum type, which we can ask the users that, it is used primarily for filtering. If you go on any website, you will see at the very top you have some options that you can just drop down and choose, okay, you want SUV, bike, auto, and so on and so forth. With that in mind, we have just put up these vehicle types, which will help us create or choose vehicles. As I mentioned, we can have extensible, I can have literally bike, vehicle, auto, vehicle, and so on and so forth. Now, apart from vehicle factory, which I can simply incorporate for new vehicles, what else? Obviously, I will have my rental store, because see, vehicle, as I mentioned, would be inside a rental store, right? Rental store will be showing all the vehicles, but rental store itself will be at a specific location. So I will just say that rental store, I will try to write, but obviously I can just write the location first. Location will be a simple location class. It will have its own corresponding location, and I should be good with that. Then rental store will come up, which will say that it's a physical store at some location, and it will maintain a list of vehicles which I have. So a list of vehicles is being maintained at this specific location, and that's one simple rental store in my arsenal. Now, for, obviously, for any rental store, I should be able to get all available vehicles from this, let's say, a range of dates, because you usually book for a range of dates, and there's a very high chance that I, as an RN, would have booked, let's say, bike from, let's say, 14th to 18th, and there's, let's say, only one bike available. Now you want to book same bike from, let's say, 19th to 23. You will be easily able to book it, right? But if you wanted to book it from 17 to 23, you will not be able to book it. That is the reason we just have given, again, although it's a business logic, not necessarily for you to go very deep into while doing an interview, but still it's good. Now coming on, what we did, okay, we'll just get all the available vehicles in that specific time duration. And I can, because again, it's a rental store, so rental store has its own responsibility. Again, you can have a rental store manager as well if you want, but again, that's totally up to you. If you want, you can have a rental store manager as well, which can handle adding of vehicles, or adding or modification of things on a specific rental store. Right now, you can do it inside rental store itself. Again, as I mentioned, it's kind of a caveat here that time versus code constraints which you have, you can verbally tell to the interviewer and still go ahead with writing the same thing down. So in this case, I have just written that, okay, a rental store, I will be able to add a vehicle and so on and so forth. So I will be able to add vehicles, I'll be able to remove vehicles. I will check if the vehicle is available or not with a specific registration number. It can be used to check as an admin if someone has returned some vehicle or not. And yeah, maybe some other getters and setters also I can do. Now, some other code thing which I can use is, let's say, a user, because obviously when I will be building a reservation, I know the vehicle information, I know the rental store information, I know the location information. I should also be knowing the user information and, let's say, his payment information, all that stuff, whatever he has put up. So I'll just choose a user and just give a small detail and say that what are reservations are in his name. Obviously, a person can do multiple reservations. It's completely fine and completely allowed. So yeah, we just have the corresponding list of reservations which the person can have. Obviously, we're talking about reservation in this case. So let's come on to reservation itself altogether. The reservation will simply manage my vehicle booking. Again, as the word itself says, reservation. Reservation is that you chose a vehicle, you chose a user, you just link them up, and this is a reservation. That's it. So a user, a vehicle, the corresponding store locations. Why store locations? Because this is a car rental. You have to pick up car from some place, drop it at some place. So you need to have that store locations in mind, and also the rental period. Why rental period? Because we saw in the earlier step why this rental period is required. Now coming on that, I will have its pickup location and drop location. I will have the vehicle and user location. I will have the start date and end date location, and I will have the reservation status as well. Because it's a reservation, so reservation will have its own reservation status. Again, some of the basic stuff: confirm reservation button, start rental, complete rental, cancel reservation, and so on and so forth. Some graders and setters. Obviously this reservation could have been handled separately, but I will handle it by a reservation manager. The same way you could have handled the store, rental store also with its rental store manager. But yeah, we were handling everything for rental store inside the rental system. Now, reservation manager will manage all the reservations, whatever were there. When I say manage, I mean creating a reservation, confirming it, deleting it, which means canceling it, completing the corresponding rental or starting corresponding rental. Now, when I say rental and reservation, so reservation is something that, okay, which is a booking. But okay, booking done. Let's say if I want to book something at, let's say today is what? Let's say today is 9th of April 2025. I want to book something for 20th of April. So this is my start of rental, while this is my start of booking. Or I created my booking at 9th, but my rental starts from 20th. So that's the thing, a couple of things which you can, again, although no one will keenly look at it, but still it's good to know about it. I will have a reservation manager which will manage all the corresponding reservations and maintains all the reservations. When I say reservations, it will have creating a reservation, and again, technically you are going and asking reservations, your corresponding this reservations itself, that bro, put up this corresponding reservation, whatever you had. Same way you can confirm the reservation, start a rental, complete the rental, cancel the reservation, and obviously get the reservation. Again, they can be other methods as well if you want a couple of other things on the basis of business case, but these are a couple of steps which my reservation manager should be able to do for my reservations. Now, what else is remaining? Obviously, our godfather, rental system. Obviously, I wanted to have as a singleton. I just want only want instance of it. I don't want things to be haywire all together. So this is the main god, which will handle reservations, stores, users, payment systems, and so on and so forth. Now, this technically can delegate tasks to individual staff. I can have a user manager, I can have a store, which is the rental store manager, I can have a reservation manager, I can have a payment processor. So literally, this is a good practice. And I highly recommend that it should delegate tasks to individual managers or individual controllers, which should do their own corresponding task. It is much more easier and much more, convenient to write the code in that sense. But still, even if, let's say, here you will see I have a payment processor, I have a reservation manager, and for rest all stuff, I'm kind of managing my own vehicle inventory and all that. I could have had a rental store manager as well. And again, my users and stuff are also handled by me, which could have been handled by a user manager, or let's say a people manager. Cool. Here, so first to indicate, I have to make a singleton. I have had its private constructor. I have initialized the instance, and I'm using it to get the corresponding instance. Then a couple of stuff for adding stores and then creating a reservation. Again, when I create a reservation, technically it is going and asking reservation manager only. But obviously, yeah, this is the pinpoint, or this is kind of the API, or let's say the gateway entrance, where like whenever I'll call or hit any of the API, it will actually go and ask the reservation or rental system. Rental system will delegate task whatever it wants to different services. Right now, I'm just only interacting with the rental system. Imagine like that. And it's always a good thing that you interact with the like one thing, and that one thing decides how it wants to just let the other services go and process that specific information. And it's good that we'll have kind of a proxy layer, or let's say a simple rate limiting layer as well before it. So it's imagine that you have a kind of a gateway which will actually make sure that okay, all the requests go to one service, and then it's a very small thing. Again, I'm going on to very high level design, which is not required in this case. But yeah, that's kind of a drill here. Cool. Then I will always also process the payment, and as I was mentioning that I will request for the payment strategy while I will be getting. So when I will be, let's say anyone wants to process the payment, they will be actually telling me the corresponding payment strategy, how they want to get it, and that's how I'll just say, bro, payment processor, just get me with that specific payment strategy. Just process the corresponding payment. Obviously, whenever I say that the payment is processed or is completed, I simply say that reservation manager, please confirm the reservation for the person. Again, all that is simply a business use case. As I was mentioning, I could have kept that in reservation, but not a good deal. You can keep the pricing strategy in reservation, and when the corresponding payment is completed, like to tip you how you want to integrate stuff. Everything can be linked to each other. Now I can have other methods as well, which again, totally your choice if you want to implement them. As I was mentioning that you have a payment strategy, obviously you will have to write the corresponding payment processor and payment strategies as well. So I'll have payment strategy as an interface. Exactly same thing we have been doing in last 3 videos. By now it should be like kind of, like it should be in your head, or this payment strategy. We have been doing the exact same thing again and again. So we have a credit card payment, we have a debit card payment, we have a cash payment, and let's say PayPal payment, anything. Now obviously I have a payment processor which will actually help us to process the corresponding payment, and that's it. We are good with everything. If you want to extend it with different payment strategies, you can incorporate any new payment in future. Come on to the main class. Main class will primarily call the rental system. That's the main entry point. That's the thing, right? And again, being it Singleton, I will call it from the class name itself. Now, obviously, just to replicate the scenarios, I will make some couple of stores. Again, this is what I am making, right? I as I mentioned, like it's kind of already done in the back end, and kind of the admin tasks which is happening here. So I'll make a couple of stores and I'll add that to my rental system. I'll make couple of cars or vehicles and I'll add them to my respective stores. I'll make a user and will try to book a reservation for that specific user. Now, whenever I see book it, I will also have to ask for a corresponding payment option. He choose any specific payment. I'll just give the corresponding payment strategy, and then I will try to process the payment with that specific payment strategy. If it is success, I'll just say, bro, you have completed the reservation and all set. Cool. Anything else? Yeah, obviously we were able to achieve a very good code with some of caveats here, and that caveats we discussed orally, as in verbally. Now, obviously, we are discussing about pricing strategy a lot. So obviously, I can have a pricing strategy altogether, because of which, again, the code will change. You might say, Aaron, is this the sensible code? Not really, because of the fact that, again, we have to incorporate literally everything. And again, right now I haven't even discussed about observer, because we have to send notifications, we have to alert the person whenever the stock is available. There should have been observer as well, but then it will become endlessly featureful. So I could have added an observer design pattern as well, just so that I can notify the person whenever his stock or his car or his bike or his favorable stuff is available. I could notify him whenever his booking is about to get over. I want to charge him extra. I want to do multiple stuff. I could have used observer as well, but still, as I mentioned, it's good to keep it short and simple. And again, to plug in observer, you have to change your reservation and rental both. And that's the case that, as you mentioned, these big systems, whatever you will make, can never be 100% extensible. But you just still have to portray, to the person that whatever you try to build in the given 45-minute time is what could be achieved. And again, if I'm explaining the same thing, and it took you just monotonic, like for this monologue, if it took me 40 minutes just to explain you everything, just imagine you have to write the code as well in an interview. So how you will do it? That's the reason. Be be conscious of how much and what you are telling. Verbally tell everything. Write it down. Couple of things. Now, obviously, I have a pricing strategy, and I will have its reservation. Corresponding rental system, which will modify it again, which means that I will have a corresponding pricing strategy which will calculate the rental price to it. Now I will have different pricing strategy. One is hourly pricing strategy, which will calculate the hourly price. Well, next I will have a daily pricing strategy. Next I will have a weekly pricing strategy, and so on and so forth. Again, all this is nothing but a business logic. Totally up to you. You can just simply write the print statement and it should be good. Now, the reservation now will say that, bro, I will accept a pricing strategy now. So reservation will now accept a pricing strategy and my amount will be calculated with the help of this pricing strategy. Same way, my rental system will now say that, bro, I will create a reservation with this pricing strategy and you should tell me what that pricing strategy I want to apply. So whenever I'm creating a reservation, I will pass in the corresponding pricing strategy. Any reservation, if it is weekly, then weekly pricing strategy. And that's how you can incorporate any new pricing strategy in future. Cool. Although I'll say, okay, bhai, it's scalable, flexible, robust, and I know that there are still some catches, but still you just still have to portray that you discuss main entities, you discuss the main flow, you discuss the design patterns, and you discuss the extensibility as well. You can verbally tell about the observer, and again, how I will know that how to implement that. No worries, go back to the previous videos. Anything and whatever I am saying already has been covered. If I'm not covering hardcore in this video, anything, if you think na ki Aryan, what advice you gave about inaction of the process, I covered that previously as well. So I highly recommend going for the entire course of LLD and you will get it. Cool. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure that with the right target of 250 likes. See you next video. Goodbye. Take care. Bye bye.